Hi, my name's Brees. I like to try new microphones, so that's why it looks a little funny up here today. This is the remote camera Redux. Some of you might recall a while back I did a PoE cam, travel router, hotel, thingamabob. It was kind of annoying to travel with, but it was really cool for the nerd factor or the geek factor, however you want to term it. So this talk is sort of a sequel to the original talk. The original talk, you can see there a screenshot of it. The main advantage to this is that you don't really need the travel router. You don't really need the PoE stuff. A lot of things like hotel captive portals or crappy hotel Wi-Fi might still want a travel router. Just, tether it to your phone over USB or something. Basic hardware and software is Thingano, or Thingino, as some of the YouTube tutorials pronounce it. It's an open source network camera former/operating system. I believe Rickert was the one that originally opened my eyes to this possibility. The Synodo D1 is one model of camera. I think last I looked, they were under $15 a pop on Amazon. So very affordable if you want to get into this. You will also need a micro SD card to flash the firmware. So count that into your talk. And then WireGuard has some built-in support. Other hardware and software, you need to be within range of the Wi-Fi for the camera, right? Duh, but I figure I might as well mention it. Pro tip, again, use a travel router if you're at all concerned about weird network things that might affect your ability to do this, if you're intending to do this. You need something off-site, right? The whole point of a remote cam over a VPN means that you're VPNing somewhere, so you need a VPN server and then an NVR. You could have the NVR also going over the VPN, but I would just have the NVR at your site, your remote site. The camera setup is basically, you set up the WireGuard client, right? You need to get the keys and how to set it up and all those things from another tutorial. I'm not doing that here. This is a tool talk, means pretty quick. Here's a cool thing, have fun, is basically this talk. There are lots of really good tutorials. I even linked to one in my last talk if you want to go look that up. Then you SSH into the camera as root. You get SSH as root, it's real fun. And then you can set up WireGuard with config files, and I use a script because the web UI is a little finicky. Run the script to bring up the WireGuard tunnel, and then there you go. There's supposed to be native support, but I've had some issues with it. Linked in the slide notes, there is a GitHub issue that I opened that details some of the issues I've had. I don't seem to be the only one having this issue, but I don't seem to be the majority either. I don't know if that's because just not that many people try this feature or because of an ID10T error or something else along those lines. Anyhow, this is what the web UI looks like for configuring the VPN, and this will populate if you properly configure it using the shell. Right? If you properly configure it over SSH with a script or whatever, this will populate. It'll show you what's there, and you can disable it from the web UI. You just can't turn it on from the web UI. So, not sure what's up there. Please note, WG is not the same as WG Quick. This cost me hours over the course of a couple weeks because that ID10T error I mentioned. But anyhow, big thing here to note is that the WG has a lot more verbose syntax. You have to do a lot more work. The WG Quick, you basically say you need it as root. So sudo WG Quick up, and then your interface name. That's it. That brings up your VPN based on the config files. The WG is a bit more advanced. Here are the string of commands that I have in my script. Slightly sanitized because you'll notice that the IP addresses there do not match what we've got. Also, you'll notice this WG setconf rather than WG Quick, and then still referencing the interface name as well as manually referencing the config file. WG Quick, you just reference the interface name and it knows to look for the config file of that name. This is my config file, right? I still need to have my private key. There's my private key if you want to steal it. For those in the back that might not be able to see it, says LOL's base64. Also, my public key is not a real public key, base64. Both of them with an equal sign at the end, because otherwise, how would you ever know that it's base64? You can see it's going to homelab.thesketchy.site. I believe that is the actual URL I'm currently using if you want to go try and hammer on my VPN. These IPs are not the correct IPs, but you'll see what are here in a little bit. Here's the NVR setup. You'll notice that this is going to be the VPN IP of the camera, right? So once you've set up your camera and it has both its local address and a VPN address, you need to point the NVR to the VPN address of that camera. This is a screenshot from ZoneMinder. The default username and password of Thingano is Thingano. For the web viewing, root I believe the default is root or Thingado or Tor. I'm not sure. Maybe admin? I know this one's set to admin if you want to have fun with that. The result, you can see I've got ZoneBinder in my demo that I did at home. I just had it aimed at my TV screen, and the Roku went to sleep, so that's why you're seeing the Roku sort of askew inside a ZoneBinder screenshot. Some other notes, if you're on the same ONT for your home lab and your home prod, like I've talked about in some other talks, here be dragons, you might run into some issues with that. It's not super well supported with some ONTs, cough, cough, Quantum Fiber, CenturyLink, Lumen Technologies. Here is the ZoneBinder camera full enable and disable via the API, which I like to use, because when I'm doing demos, right, I want to say, ooh, let's bring up the camera, and then we can do some things and try some things and whatnot. And then when I'm done, I want to disable the camera. The reason I want to disable the camera when I'm done is ZoneBinder will scream its head off and fill the SQL database with errors. And it is very annoying to try and clean up after that happens. So as a habit, if I'm going to be having the camera disconnected, I disable it, and then I deal with disconnecting the camera and all that stuff. This exact string, though, was rather hard to find, so I put it in the slides. Note that one.json, that is the unique identifier for the specific camera within ZoneBinder if you're using that syntax. So you just change the number, and all the rest of it can stay the same, other than, of course, the IP address. Any questions before the demo? No. All right. Ooh, we maybe got one. Question is, have I used this to pivot through the camera to another endpoint? I don't remember. I know I tried to do something like that once, but it got annoying, so I just used my computer, right? Because I'm using the computer to SSH into the camera, so that was a lot easier. Also, the latency of dealing with the SSH session gets to be really annoying because it is just an IoT processor that was significantly less than $12, considering the whole camera was about $12. I know it was less than 15. I want to say it was about 12 when I bought it. Any other questions? You totally could, though. I mean, it gives you root SH. All right, so here's the demo. This is public. If you want to go there and download the couple of videos that are there, you totally can. I'm going to attempt to pull it up from here. So bear with me a moment while I attempt to do this. The hand-eye coordination is not strong with this one, in case you were wondering. So we're just going to take that. Yeah, one more character. We're going to go in New Tab. We're going to paste it. And then there we go. There is my camera demo. And it's over in the corner back there. So you can see the screen up here. You can see him waving. So yeah, this is absolutely totally live. The packet route is going from the camera to my phone that's tethered out at cellular into the VPN of the home lab to ZoneBinder, and then from ZoneBinder through the internet to this laptop's Wi-Fi to the venue that I'm just literally viewing that in a web page. So if you want to go mess with that, go mess with it now, because I'm shutting it down in about 2.5 minutes. At this point, any other questions? All right, that's all. Thanks.